Welcome to A Moment of Zen. Time to sit back and relax as model, actress, mentor, and supermom Zen Sams takes you on a sexy and wild ride, covering the latest in film, fashion, pop culture, cryptocurrency, fintech, cannabis, and entertainment from the Millennial Mom's perspective. Here's your host, Zen Sams.
Hello, my beautiful friends and loyal listeners. It's always such a pleasure to spend my time with you on the airwaves. Thank you so much for listening and interacting with me on social media. That truly does make it all worthwhile. Please make sure to follow me at Zen Sams. That's Zen with an X, not a Z. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Also remember that we're now live on Traverse TV, Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern, live on YouTube Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern. And of course, all episodes of A Moment of Zen are now available on Kathy Ireland's 24/7 streaming platform, Your Home TV. We have a great show lined up for you today on this first weekend of 2023. Happy birthday to my beautiful Alexa, who is turning 7 on January 8th. That's the day my life changed forever. Happy birthday, sweet girl. Mama is so very proud of you. In our Millennial Mom segment brought to you by OGPay.com, we're featuring the awesome Kimberly Guilfoyle. We're going to highlight Kimberly for all of her amazing accomplishments as a mother, a patriot, and proud American, chatting plans for 2023, life, love, how she and Don Jr. keep it real and grounded, and more importantly, how she continues to navigate media manipulation with grace. In our Business and Buzz segment brought to you by Revere Securities, we're featuring regular contributor and financial professional Kyle Wool, currently serving as non-executive chairman at Revere Securities. And today we're joined by Candy Valentino, entrepreneur, author of Wealth Habits, and she was named Top Business Leaders 40 Under 40. Today, we're chatting about ways to recession-proof your life, why the average millionaire has multiple streams of income, why self-education leads to higher income than higher education, how to give the IRS as little money as legally possible, and why real estate investing is the hat trick of building wealth. Here to chat how to come out winning in 2023 in our Trailblazer segment by Animoca Brands. We're featuring my friend Emily Ford, self-made millionaire, host of the It Factor show and creator of the It Factor. She shared the stage with some of the business's top names, including Tony Robbins and Grant Cardone. She's going to help us find our It Factor. In our influencer segment brought to you by Navi, we're featuring Kelsey Guy, an ever-evolving creative who is truly paving her own path of compassionate movement and joy. She's a professionally trained dancer and a roller skater. More importantly, she's a movement coach. She's here to chat roller skating 2023 and making your dreams come true. Stay tuned for the amazing Kimberly Guilfoyle up next in our Millennial Mom segment. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OGPay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OGPay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out OGPay.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Today, in our Millennial Mom segment brought to you by OGPay.com, we're featuring the amazing Kimberly Guilfoyle, political influencer, mother, patriot, and proud American. Today, we're chatting plans for 2023, life, love, how she and Don Jr. keep it real and grounded, and more importantly, how she continues to navigate media manipulation with such grace. All that is necessary to destroy a person's character publicly is to take that person and overtly or covertly associate them to something the masses will reject. Never mind if it's true or not, simply to question it or make the association is sufficient. The media is guilty of this almost daily, and Kimberly is an expert at shielding herself and her family from all riffraff. Welcoming now to the show is the stunning KG. Welcome, my stunner.
Oh, I love it. Great to be with you, Zen. And again, congratulations on all your success. You're such a positive influence for so many people, men, women, young boys, all of the above. So I appreciate and applaud your fearlessness and, your diversity in terms of everything that you're involved in. We share stuff in common in that, we both get out there. Every day is a new opportunity to invent and to create and to be bold and about new chapters in life. So I love what you have done with yours.
Oh, thank you so much for that reciprocation. Do you ever age? You look absolutely fantastic and just hot. The last time I saw you in 2019, it was on a Newsmax show I was a contributor on, and you've just not aged a bit. You are beautiful. Let's start with your amazing son, Ronan. So I've heard through my sources that he is the most polite, well-rounded, educated, and charming young man. And I just want to know, how do you shield him from the media? And what is the most important thing motherhood has taught you?
Well, I really appreciate that. I have one of our best friends here who's listening and watching. He's nodding his head. He's like, yes, yes. So we make the joke all the time. And John Jr. is fond of saying in true Trump fashion, he's like, Princess, you're lucky I haven't sold him yet because we can get a lot of money for him. He's like, he's polite. He's good looking. He's a good athlete. He works hard. So it's always, some parents like live in fear about back to school night or parent teacher conference. I go and they're like, we wish we had more Ronan. And I'm like, well, I've only got the one. So, but everyone said, well, you got it right with him. So, all good. No problem that I stopped there. But nevertheless, we have such a close relationship. I raised, Ronan as a single mother since he was 2 years of age. And by that, I mean, he was, living primarily with me, but he has a great father and, Eric Valencia, and we co-parent really well. And I really attribute Ronan's well-rounded character and his integrity and his ethics and morality to the fact that we work together well as a unit. And I think when you don't make it about you, you make it about the child and about the family and making sure that the child has the resources and the love, unconditional, that they need, you can really have a positive, impact. We'll go to his football games, together. And I'm very supportive working out the schedule when he wants to go. He loves to ski as well. So go skiing on these great trips over Christmas time. So I don't demand like, you've got to be home Christmas Day with me because I'm thinking about what Ronan wants to do. And that's his chance. He works so hard in school and, in academics and athletics for him to be able to get a break and like go away and reset. It's very good for him, mentally, physically. So that's what you do, right? Like you want to do what's best for your child, provide a nurturing environment. And, Ronan has lived with Don Jr., myself, and Don's been a phenomenal influence on Ronan with the outdoors and shooting and fishing and all of the above. And it's been really nice, to see because, we've been together 5 years now. And it was an interesting dynamic to then bring when there hadn't been any man in the household since Ronan was 2, for Don to come in. And it just worked seamlessly, like perfect from day one. It was like, okay, here we are. And it gelled together really well. We have 2 adorable dogs, the Super Mario Brothers, Mario and Luigi, that were Ronans, but, we share, and Don calls them the Wolf Pack. So we have a lot of fun and laughs. And I'm actually very blessed because, I had Ronan, but now I get to share with Don his amazing children. He has 5 of them. So we're definitely like the modern day Brady Bunch, like no joke. 6 kids under 16. Oh my God.
Your hands are full.
Oh, it's unbelievable. It's like a successful weekend when no one goes to the urgent care or emergency room. I'm like, just live, everyone. Let's be good.
Yeah, you went from political trailblazer to Mary Poppins very quickly over there.
Literally, I know. I'm like Irish Puerto Rican Mary Poppins. So it's fun, and it keeps it interesting here. There is no doubt. We had a wonderful day. You're just like celebrating with the kids. So this is interesting because, New Year's Eve rather. Don's birthday, it was our 2-year engagement anniversary, and then it's New Year's Eve, right? So we spent the day going out on the boat, taking the kids out. They got to swim and, jump around and burn off energy, and it was really nice. And then we gave Don one of his like Carvel cakes. He loves a good Carvel cake, let me tell you. And now he's really weird.
I follow you on social media, all right? So like
I saw the cake.
I saw the cake.
Like, Dad, it looks like you. You're a donkey man. Look at this. The cake. And Don's like, what? Yep. But the funny thing is, his favorite Carvel cake, which by the way, don't even try to take a bite because you get your finger bitten off, is Fudgy the whale cake. Okay.
Oh, okay. Fudgy the whale cake.
He just loves him. And so he was like, oh, I love this. What about Fudgy? So then the funny thing is he found out that Carvel delivers, which is a big problem because he didn't know that. And I was like, oh, try to find a Carvel to get the ice cream cake. But now he knows they'll like Instacart or something to the house. So
yeah, Instacart. Oh, I love Instacart. So now we have Carvel and Instacart in common here. But I want to go back because I have something very specific I want to ask you. So let's chat media manipulation, because this irks me as a mom. It irks me to my core when kids are involved, but you shield your family very, very eloquently. And a very typical way of using this media manipulation, it's a tactic to connect, even if it's through intricate stratagem, the person to some law-breaking, shady person, organization, or action. You have been privy to this. Even if it's not true, it leaves a dark cloud of doubt in the mind of the person receiving the information. That's why slander is so effective in destroying enemies. The media will never come out and admit that they do this. They are accountable to no one, much like some sort of immaculate and narcissistic God. But you and Don Jr. have been together for quite some time. What makes you such a great team, and how do you stay so grounded?
You know, it's a great question. And, you know, I don't know, we're unbelievably tough. I'll tell you that, because every single day they try to break us. They try to cancel us. The articles are like literally insane. And even when they get confronted with facts or truth that actually disprove anything they're trying to say. So, well, we have one source. I'm like, okay, well, we weren't even in the state. Here are the tickets. Here are the photo. We're in like a different state, a totally different time. Like, what is going on here? But they don't care. They're so thirsty for clickbait. You know, and they just say, they're like, well, your name, when we put it in headlines, gets so many clicks. I'll be honest with you. And these are like across the board outlets, but it's sad. And you have so many people with different blogs and this and that. They put stuff up. But really what we've seen, you know, as a family, they've really just tried to come after us every single day because they don't want President Trump, you know, to run again. It's insane. So it doesn't matter about the lying or whatever they fabricate. It's nonstop investigations. You know, I myself did 13 hours with the January 6th committee with 7 lawyers grilling me. Fine by me. I'm an undefeated prosecutor and I can hold my own. I was raised by my mother and my father. But, you know, it's not for everybody. It's tough stuff. Don always tells all our friends, he's like, you know, KG used to be loved by everybody, both sides, very popular. Everybody loved her. He's like, and then she started, you know, dating me. And then it was like half of the country was like, oh, you know, kill her now. It was like crazy. It was interesting to see this metamorphosis and overnight where people just went after you with such a visceral dislike. And it's like, how are we different from other people where, you know, we have family that we love. We have children that we love. We have pets that we love. You know, President Trump is, you know, our kid's like grandfather. So I recall one time somebody confronted me in a restaurant, was screaming and, you know, obscenities about President Trump, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, listen, it's just a little bit disappointing. I said, my boys, our children are eating outside. And I said, would not like them to come in here and hear this. I appreciate, you know, you have your opinions about him as an individual, but to these children, that's just their grandfather.
Exactly.
And they love him.
And
you so I don't want me screaming about your father or your, you know, whatever family member like that. I mean, I'm quite sure, and she had not even met President Trump ever. So, and I know the president for what now, like 18 years. You know, so he's my friend. I know him personally in a different way than just, my fiance's, you know, father. But it's tough. It's tough. I honestly feel that so much more unites us than divides us if we get down to the granular aspects of us as human beings, how we relate, what's important to us, what we think about, and where we want healthy children. We want to make sure that, you know, we've got food and ability to provide and to earn a decent living, equality for opportunity of everybody. Result isn't given. It's how hard you work, you know, and I can say this, you know, as my father, an immigrant from Ireland, my mother was fortunate enough to be born in, you know, Puerto Rico, lived in Aguadilla, grew up, and then moved to San Francisco where they met and, you know, fell in love in an improbable way. But that's what life is about.
Okay, well, we have four and a half minutes left, and I wanted, we'll cut to a commercial break if we're out of time and come back for more. But I wanted to get your thoughts on where we stand right now. So America, Kimberly, obviously is no longer the same place it was during the Trump era for many reasons that go beyond politics. But
Correct.
But lots of Democrats do not wish Joe Biden to seek a second term. And longstanding speculation about whether he is showing age-related decline is increasingly at the center of almost, you know, every media coverage. But the bottom line, and this is what is what we have to remember. The bottom line is that more Republicans are enthusiastic about Trump running to win a second term in 2024 than Democrats are enthusiastic about Biden doing the same. So, in your opinion, why is this the case, and where do you think we're headed in 2024?
I think it's the very clear and convincing juxtaposition between what occurred during the Trump administration with record numbers for the economy, record high employment, and entrepreneurs, more female women created businesses, more minority created businesses, and record low unemployment across the board for Hispanics, for Asian Americans, for African Americans. And there's a freedom to live your American dream versus this punishment and government control that we're seeing. Of course, there's factors that came in like the pandemic and coronavirus, which really put things upended them. But there's no real excuse right now for the record inflation, for the gas prices, for the bare shelves and lack of supplies. I mean, I never thought I would wake up in this country and say, wow, there's no baby formula. Like things like that have really just shocked the conscience of hardworking Americans. And whether you're liberal or, Democrat or conservative or independent or libertarian, you can also just honestly examine the facts and see where we are. Where are we with energy independence and with, pipelines? One was closing them down, one was opening them up. So, whatever your politics are, look at the facts, equip yourself with that, do a deep dive, get the information, because it's really true that every vote does count and only one vote per person should count. But, we want that, in this country, and we want the freedom of discourse and opinion. I'm happy with what's happening with Truth Social, happy with what's happening with Twitter, with people getting reinstated and having that marketplace of ideas. I think it's what's so unique and important in this country. I mean, that's what our founding fathers and forefathers fought for, was to be able to have that independence, that autonomy, and that free speech. And I think it's, so important, as a mother, as a former prosecutor, as a television, journalist witnessing American political history from multiple different vantage points. It's really provided a tremendous window into what goes on across this country and the people across it. And that's one of the best things why Don Jr. and I not only together as, fiancés, but best friends, because we really work well together. We believe in people and human beings, and we have the great pleasure and honor to travel across this country in every single state and meet amazing Americans.
Amen. Amen. And it's interesting. We have about a minute left, but we're cut to a commercial break and come right back and talk charity. But Politico said it best, right? In 2020, President Trump inspired enough mania amongst partisans, despite an impeachment, the loss of congressional majorities, a long roster of, erratic statements at times and behavior and weak approval ratings amongst the general public. But he managed to increase his vote total from 2016 by more than 11 million voters. So again, media manipulation. You have to look at the facts. Exactly.
Well, it's absolutely true. And he received more votes than any incumbent president prior to him that had won an election. So, you have to think, again, use your common sense. I actually discussed this specific matter with the January 6th committee and talked to them about that. I said, why do you think people think that? I said, well, I don't know, maybe because the guy got more votes, 11 million more votes than, he did the first time he ran, and more than any other incumbent president. So people actually go, and they're able to think for themselves to wonder how, in fact, this did transpire. But I'm for voter integrity, and I think that's very important in our democratic process to be able to make sure that every vote does count, every legal and valid vote counts, and that we don't have manipulation across the board or disenfranchisement or suppression of votes.
There you go. Amen. You said it best, sister. Stand by. We'll be right back. Guys, definitely have to check out Kimberly Guilfoyle. That's the amazing Kimberly Guilfoyle. You can check her out on the gram at Kimberly Guilfoyle, and head to shopkimberlyg.com for some real fun items for all you patriots out there. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. That was our Millennial Mom segment brought to you by OG Pay. Stand by. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Caldwell Soames Incorporated, investing globally in transformative businesses like Original Digital Corporation, or ODC. ODC develops advanced consumer and commercial fintech solutions such as OG Pay, which will transform the way you manage your money. From sending and receiving money globally for free, paying for goods and services in person and online, pay bills, buy and sell digital currencies, all while earning interest. OG Pay is easy to set up, FDIC insured, and your information is secured. Check out ogpay.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. Welcome back to our Millennial Mom segment brought to you by ogpay.com, where we are chatting with the incredible Kimberly Guilfoyle. Welcome back, Stunner.
All right. Great to be back with you.
All right, let's chat philanthropy and setting a good example for our kids. So giving to charities and being involved is so very important to me as a mom. It benefits, right, society's neediest and most vulnerable. And often the people in society who are in need are the most overlooked. Governments, Kimberly, aren't set up to protect everyone who needs it. That's why charities are here to fill the gaps and provide dedicated resources to help the most vulnerable. What charities are you involved in? And in your opinion, what needs to be done to make America great again?
Yeah, I think it is so important. This is how I was raised. It's one of my core principles and values that I really pride myself on, and I strive every day to be able to give back. My mother and father raised me until what you have been abundantly blessed. And I have been, because I was able to be born in this country. I was able to receive a first-class education. I was able to go to summer school to try to better myself. I was able to play on sports and great athletic teams. And I had two very loving and nurturing parents. I lost my mom when I was 10, which was a terrible tragedy, but she gave me all the values and tools that I needed to succeed and to be a good mother and a loving and wonderful, partner and friend and sister. And it's just been wonderful to experience in life. And that's why I love the charities that I work with, New York Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children. And I received the Strength of Our Society, Spirit of Our Society award there for my work with children and mothers that were really affected and victims of domestic violence, child abuse, sexual abuse. And I work here with the Admiral's Cove Foundation, which I love, where we live, with a number of different charities, including we did a big event for Toys for Tots, and it was so incredible. We raised a lot of money and a lot of toys. Imagine that there's children that wake up on Christmas Day, they don't have toys. Maybe they don't even have a toothbrush. But I mean, these are people, we have to be able to give back. I'm particularly sensitive to charities that do great work, with children, and then also working with Veterans Group, helping a Hero Foundation and Wounded Warriors, and working with the Navy SEAL Museum, and working with a group that I'm involved with, Tribute 22, to stamp out veteran suicide. There are 22 veteran suicides every single day in this country. So we want to make 22 zero again. Yeah. And we pair these amazing veterans that have worked and put it all in their line and their families with support dogs and trained service dogs to help them. And it's a game changer. I wish I had an amazing dog to give to every single one of these incredible veterans, but it's been a wonderful experience to do that. So it's something that I'm involved with, and I do, every single day I do charitable work and work with my different organizations to make sure that we're making a difference. And I attend so many events, obviously at Mar-a-Lago, do speaking events there for all the different charities and the family. And, Mar-a-Lago and the president's been really, really great about making that venue available for some really worthwhile causes. And of course, leukemia and lymphoma foundation, because I lost my mother to leukemia, and then the gastroesophageal foundation. I work with a lot of hospital boards because my father died of gastric cancer. So, whatever I can do to give back, I try. So I really am so blessed to have people come to me to get help for these organizations, to make sure that, I can use my voice to amplify and create, awareness. And you just saw with Damar Hamlin, how sad on Monday Night Football, and collapsing to the ground like that. It was just terrible to see, as a mother, you saw what a good man he is, always going up to his mom on the sidelines. And then he was doing the charitable organization, went from 2,500 over 3 million. I made a contribution to that and just try to amplify that out on social media like so many amazing people did. So, thoughts and prayers to him and to his family. God bless.
So important to give back and balancing it all out. And coming back to your veteran devotion, my favorite charity is an incredible nonprofit that our financial expert who trends on the show, one of our actually financial professionals and contributor, Kyle Wool, he turned us on to an organization that you definitely should know about called heroesandhorses.org. It's a 41-day program for combat veterans up in Montana. And
I have heard of it. Amazing.
Yeah. And it's founded by Micah Fink and Clint LaRue, former SEAL Team 6. So, in order to make America great again, we must unprogram the programmed. And a lot of these veterans, Kimberly, to your point, they're left to the sidelines. They service us. They service our country. They protect our borders. They keep us safe at night. And we discharge them with very, very little. And it's sad. It's really sad to see.
It's heartbreaking, and my father, was a veteran. Obviously, he's since passed away, but served in the United States military. First thing he wanted to do when he came out from Ireland was enlist in the army so that he could actually get back to the country that he felt had blessed him with so much. And, we owe them a debt of gratitude. We need to take care of them, and more especially when they step off of the battlefield. I love the programs like the equestrian program that you were talking about. There's so many things that we can do and ways to help. We can't leave them behind. And that's another thing, making America great again. Well, we're making America great again with each and every veteran that we support and their families. What President Trump made that a very important aspect of his administration with revamping the VA and making sure that veterans weren't suffering. It's not okay to just send them home with a brown bag of pills and be like, good luck to you. That isn't going to work. And the long lines and waiting when they're trying to be able to get in to see a doctor and get some medical attention because they want to be able to be there for their family. So you have to help them and give them that hope and that inspiration. We're not the greatest nation on earth if we are not taking care of our veterans.
Yeah, you said it. We should be treating them like VIP. All right, last question. Yeah. What are your main goals for 2023? And if you could give any piece of advice to your younger self, Kimberly, what would that be?
Yeah, I always tell the young people that I mentor, and I know you do a lot of that as well. I think it is so important. You've got to do that because they're searching and they really want to know what they should do with their life and how they should do it. And I get so many parents and young people writing me about their daughters and their sons. And I tell them, be fearless. Do not be afraid to make a change in your life. Every chapter is something unique and interesting. And like yourself, I've done a lot of different things. We both love real estate and I've done so much remodeling and renovation. Don says I'm better than his money market investors on return on investment. We're partners in every way. And I always say that to young women too. I said, earn your own living, have your own money, your own independence. Then you can choose with your whole heart and your love who you're with in your life, because you're actually bringing something to the table and you have something to fall back on. You can't just think about, well, I'm going to go get married and someone's going to provide for me. That's not the way it works. Life is tough. It has a lot of different turns and what can happen and illness and whatnot, or tragedy, you never know. But you have to have that power and spirit. I saw too many women stay in domestic violence situations because they had no other path. They had no other future or hope, and they had nothing to fall back on. Never be that person. Whether you're a man or a woman, strive to have your own independence, your own financial stability, and integrity, so that you never have to worry about someone else having control over your life. And, believe in yourself. If you're not happy with what you're doing, don't be afraid to make that change. Invest in yourself, whether it's reading or taking courses or online. There's so many opportunities now. You can do it. Look at all the different careers we've had. We both worked in modeling and acting and television and radio, real estate, being an entrepreneur. So, one person doesn't wear one face. You can be multifaceted. And that's the beauty and the diversity. And that is the opportunity in the United States of America that you can have. So because you have that opportunity, do not squander it. There's people and women that grow up in another country that are being persecuted and murdered because they're not able to go get an education. They're not able to speak their minds or have their First Amendment rights. So don't take it for granted. Take advantage of it every single day and be that example manifesting out to the world so other people will grow from your strength.
Oh, you said it. Amen, sister. You said it. You said it. And to your point, my husband is a very successful CEO. He's the CEO of Romulus Entertainment, the biggest independent film company here on the East Coast. He did Halle Berry's directorial debut that
Yeah.
he sold to Netflix at the height of the pandemic for, a lot of money. It was the biggest sale. He sold Apple, their first movie with Samuel L. Jackson, the banker. He was an executive producer on Fences with Denzel Washington. I truly don't have to work if I don't want to, right? I have a very successful husband, but it's not the way I see life. That's not the example I'm going to be for Alexa, my daughter, who's also a child star. She just did a movie with Jamie Foxx and Robert De Niro called Tin Soldier. But if she sees me take the easy road and just depend on dad, what example does that set for her? So to your point, empowering women, empowering the family, empowering the children, even Ronan sees how hard you work. He sees that you go out there and you grind every day. If it's not for politics, it's charities, it's business. He sees the example that you set. And that's why, coming back full circle, you look, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? But you also have raised him in the most gracious way. You haven't weaponized him as a child in your divorce, which is extremely important because believe you me, I have a personal situation where, you can attest to parents, a lot of them weaponize their children. They use them as leverage one towards the other. And it's not okay. It's not. So I love that you put him first. I love that.
Absolutely. And you with Alexa, God bless. We've been very fortunate to have, wonderful children, but, a child is an investment. And as much love and, care and paying attention and education and conversation, communication is so important to pour into that vessel so that they can grow and develop and nurture. And then they pay it forward in life with the people they interact with and the families, if they choose to have them, going forward in life. And I always tell Ronan, he's got to be, good citizen. Listen, if he gets A's, great, whatever. I care about him putting effort in, and I care about him treating other people with love and respect and consideration. And that's what he does. So it's, he knows what his mother values, the most. And it's beautiful to see it, blossom and grow in a very nice, young man. So I'm proud of him. And he says all the time, my mommy's good at so many things. And he said, but she is not good at taking vacation. I said, yeah, I'm always like trying to work and you're probably like that too, because, there isn't a lot of time when you're involved in all these things.
I was on vacation working. I was at the El San Juan at the Fairmount. I had less than 5 days, and I spent every single day working till 2 p.m. And then from 2 to 5, went out and got some sun. But I had no choice. iHeart does not rerun shows. We had to make sure it was all in.
Yeah, new content. That's absolutely right. Well, and I'm looking forward to that going forward in 2023, and healthy and happy. And also I've got some really new things. I'll have to come back on another time to talk about some really good media and communications and great stuff coming forward to be able to, use my voice in a really effective platform. So I'm excited about that.
Hey, I would love to have you back. And at this rate, we've consumed over 30 minutes. We need our own segment.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. God bless you and your family. Big hug to Don Jr. and Ronan and your entire entourage. Thank you so much for coming on.
God bless you and your family. Thank you for the opportunity.
Guys, that was Kimberly Guilfoyle in our Millennial Mom segment brought to you by OGPay.com. Definitely check her out on the gram at Kimberly Guilfoyle, and do check out Shop Kimberly G for some real fun items for all you patriots out there. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Revere Securities. Revere is committed to building a relationship of trust in which they work closely with you to help you define your objectives, explore alternatives, and choose the financial and investment strategies that are most appropriate for you. Go to reveresecurities.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in our Business and Buzz segment brought to you by Revere Securities, we are featuring our regular contributor and financial professional, Kyle Wool, currently serving as non-executive chairman at Revere Securities. And today we're joined by Candy Valentino, entrepreneur, author, named Top Business Leaders 40 Under 40, Top 10 Business Consultants by Yahoo Finance, and she was the youngest female to receive the Governor's Award in Entrepreneurship in Pennsylvania. She shares her gritty real-world business and investing strategies with an audience of millions through her founders organization. Today, we're chatting about ways to recession-proof your life, why the average millionaire has multiple streams of income, how self-education leads to higher income than higher education, how to give the IRS, according to Candy, the greatest destroyer of wealth, as little money as legally possible, and why she thinks real estate investing is the hat trick of building wealth. Here to chat how to come out winning in 2023 on WR's top trending financial literacy segment are my experts at hand, Kyle Wool and Candy Valentino. Welcome to the show, superstars.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Zen.
Candy, this is your wheelhouse. Leveraging almost 25 years of experience amassed from creating successful businesses in multiple industries, you mentor and speak on topics of wealth creation, business development, and real estate investing. Wealth Habits is your first book. Congratulations. You have a proven system for building wealth. And based on research, data, and the experience of your own life, you are known to show people how the think to get rich philosophy will only get you so far and that you have to do to become wealthy. Explain what that means and why you say self-education leads to higher income than higher education.
Well, first off, a lot of those things that you just said just shows my age. I've been doing this a really long time. I grew up in a trailer on government assistance and found a way to start a business, start investing, build wealth, and have true financial freedom. And so the reason that think and get rich will only get you so far is, yes, we of course need to address the thoughts in your mind and what you think about money, because everything that most people think right now about money, about finances, have either been caught or taught by someone else in their life. It's not really your own thought process unless you've done the work. But that's only going to get you so far. You need the tactics of actually how to get out of debt, because the system, society has created a system that we basically get a job, we go to college, we have all of this debt from college. We're trying to then just work to pay bills and constantly trade time for money. And all that's going to do is make you a slave to the system. Self-education is really about giving you the tools and the understanding of how to not live that life and how to really build wealth and create true financial freedom.
Oh, so well said, my dear. And very well quoted by your reps at PR Fortier. Wealth Habits, they said, reminds each of us that regardless of what family you came from, hence to your point, what level of education you have or what current financial life you look like, you too can make the financial freedom regardless of your circumstance. So I love that they said that. Kyle, Happy New Year and welcome back, my friend.
Happy New Year to you, Zen.
All right, let's chat passive income. So passive income, so for all of us to be clear, the passive income that we're talking about is passive income is unearned income that is acquired automatically with minimal labor to earn or maintain. And it's often combined with another source of income, such as a side job. And in the United States, the IRS divides income into three categories: active income, passive income, and portfolio income. Kyle, why does the average millionaire, in your opinion, have multiple streams of income, and why is passive income so important?
Well, I'll speak more to portfolio income because that's more my specialty. And I got a feeling Candy will talk more about real estate income, which by looking at her background, she knows quite a bit about. So when you look at portfolio income, you have to really break that down into a couple different categories. You have regular income, which you would get off of corporate bond or a high yield bond, which some people call junk bonds. And that'll be higher. It could be 5, 6, 7, 10% right now with current interest rates. Then you also have tax-free income, which you would get from a municipal bond. Now, that is very different depending on the state you live. If you live in a city like New York City and you make more than $400,000 as a family, your taxable rate will be over 50%, which is quite astonishing. Now, if you buy a triple tax-free bond in the state of New York, and you're making probably 5% on that right now, and again, there's different durations and things like that you have to take into consideration, that will be 100% tax-free. So a 5% triple tax-free bond would have a tax-adjusted yield of 10%. So these are the things you need to look at. And then also, there are dividend income. And again, depending on the state you live, dividend income currently is at 15%. But they don't really tell you if you live in the state and city of New York City, it's really 22.5%, but that's still a lot better than 50%. And then when you really dig into certain dividends, there are dividends that are qualified dividends called qualified dividend income, QDI. So these are things you really need to look at. And it's not really what you make, Zen, is what you retain. And taxation has a lot to do with what you retain. And that's why I know you and I have talked about in the past, people like Warren Buffett will for the most part, always outperform these hedge funds because of a lot of their gains are short-term capital gains that taxed at 50% compared to long-term capital gains taxed at 15%, really 22.5 in New York, but 15%. And these are how you make a real difference. You can make $1 million, but you may only retain $500,000, or you can make $1 million and maybe retain 900,000.
Yeah. Very well said. And now that you put it into perspective like that, even in a very complicated context that you broke it down, it's really just about education and informing yourself, or really using a wealth manager that can navigate, these very, very, difficult concepts for the average person to understand if they're doing it on their own. So thank you for breaking that down. Candy, let's chat save more this year in 2023, which everybody has on their list. Unsurprisingly, that's the top financial resolution is to save more money. And there are nearly countless ways to go about this. You can increase your 401k contributions. You can set up automatic transfers to a high yield savings account and cut back on unnecessary spending. You are quite savvy on saving in taxes via clever deductions. You say we should pay as little as possible in taxes, and I agree. But what steps should we take to ensure that we don't overpay? And I actually love how you pitch it on your website, how to give the IRS, the greatest destroyer of wealth, as little money as legally possible. Talk to me about this.
So, personal finance in business is really simple. You either make more or you spend less. That's it. You want to increase your net worth, you either make more or have more assets that make you more money, or you spend less or have less expenses. So when we really strip all of the tax basis down, you're going to pay the most amount of tax on your earned income. Anything that you're going, your W-2, your 1099, anything that you're trading time for money. What Kyle spoke to was portfolio income, which is of course lower, and so is passive, which is mainly on real estate. So, and it also opens you up. The reason I love personally real estate is it allows the little guy in to accumulate more assets more quickly. And a lot of times people think, oh, well, in order to buy real estate, you need a lot of money. But I can buy $1 million. I can take $1 million of my own money and buy 4, 5, maybe even 10, depending on the deal, $1 million in real estate assets. But if I want to buy $1 million in stocks, I typically need $1 million to buy that same $1 million in stocks. So it's a way to exponentially grow your net worth as you want to continue to build assets. And it opens you up to having a business so that you can have the business deductions. When I did the research for Wealth Habits and researched the Forbes 400, the richest people in Forbes 400, 75% of them all had one thing in common. They either owned a business or their wealth was from their family owning a business. 3/4 of the Forbes 400. So it just goes to show that business ownership, which is something that's available to anyone, regardless of where you came from, what family you were in, your circumstances right now, it's something that you can set up in a weekend, start earning more money, and then taking that earned money and starting to invest it either in portfolio or passive investments. Because otherwise, what's going to happen is if people don't do these things, they're going to end up trying to retire on Social Security benefits in their 401k. But that's not going to give you the lifestyle that you have right now. So the faster that you can take earned income and put it into assets and really flip the script of not spending your earned money, but investing your earned money and then spending the dividends from those assets, that's how you compound truly interest over time, but also wealth more quickly.
I love it. You are awesome. I was gonna ask you, but I'll go back to you in a minute. Tax strategies that sound illegal, but I'll go back to Kyle right now because I want to get his POV on something. So, Kyle, you've been in the business for well over 2.5 decades as a wealth manager and a licensed financial expert. You've seen it all. In your point of view, what's the main factor keeping Americans broke and in debt?
Well, I think the word debt is the main factor. I think people carry much more debt than they should carry. And I think people don't really have true vision of where interest rates are and where they're going. So let's say, oh, it's cheaper to do a 7-year ARM. Why would I not do that? Because you know what? If interest rates are at 0 2 years ago, the probability of them going higher is quite high. So to take on this lower interest payment now, which is something that can be devastating for you when those get readjust. I know many people that had 5, 7, 9-year ARMs that are really feeling the pain right now that they have to adjust those adjustable rate mortgages, or people that, well, you know what, my house appreciated, it's going to appreciate forever, just like 2007. And they take these large HELOCs out. And that was great when interest rates were at 0, but now those HELOCs are probably charging you 6, 7, 8, 9%. And that can be very painful, or people that also have a lot of credit card debt. All of these are floating rate interest. So whether it's a HELOC, whether it's a loan against your portfolio, what a lot of people do, whether it's your credit card, that debt, if you have more debt than you can service, it's a way to bankruptcy.
It's very true. And I think, looking at the overall picture, when you look at your bank account and really being realistic about what you are informed on and not informed on, and where where there's room for growth and improvement. I think also a lot of Americans just live off credit card debt, and they don't really understand, generational wealth, or how to optimize, living off of even what their bank account can yield. Because for most Americans, they're not at the place where they can save. Look at the society that we live in right now. Look at what's happening in the world. Very few people are at a good financial place. Maybe the top 20% of people that we know are living very comfortably right now. Candy, you claim, we talked about this, that real estate investing is the hat trick of building wealth, which I agree. Talk to me a little bit more about this notion, and what are some simple tips for creating wealth during high inflation and recession fear?
Well, so, there's only a few ways, like we had said, that you can really even recession proof your life. There's a lot of things that you need to be doing when times are good to set yourself up when times are bad, because there's always going to be winter. And I think the most important thing is for anyone that's listening right now that thinks, oh my gosh, I don't even know what they're talking about, or I have to develop my financial acumen, or yes, I do have credit card debt, is to first remember that you're not alone. We were not taught this stuff. So unless you've done a deep dive, which it doesn't happen to most people until they're in their 40s, of really trying to figure this out, it's totally understandable that you've also become a slave to the game and you're just working to pay bills. So first off, you've got to drop the shame and the guilt, because that'll trip people up, where then they have massive anxiety around their finances. In order for you to get a different result, we have to change the behavior of how you view money and literally flip everything that you've been taught upside down so that you can view it completely different. And to Kyle's point, I think that that's really important, so that people understand how they actually make money, how they build wealth. And the thing is, right now in recessions or economic downturns or market volatility, I think it's important to remember that if you just change that word to opportunity, it'll create a totally different feeling in your body. And that's really what happens for a lot of people, is when we have market pullback, it allows people to get in for a less stock price, for a cheaper price. And it also gives people, for real estate, an opportunity to get in. When prices were pushed up so high during, mid 20 to mid 2021, it was really tough to be able to be competitive. You had to have cash. You had to go in with no inspections. Now that the market is starting to settle, you're going to see some market volatility in the houses that are below median. So any house that's probably below that 350, 375, depending on the state that you're in, we're going to see some foreclosures coming, because the government printed mass amounts of cash, puts in everybody's pocket, made them feel richer than they were. They took mortgages out, like Kyle said, that they couldn't afford. And now all of a sudden, they're going to start to feel upside down, and the government's not printing as much money as they were. So that's going to get opportunity for the real estate investor to come in. It's also going to give you opportunity to get stocks at a discount. When you take a look at stocks that necessarily aren't going to go away, but are just challenged right now, like maybe there's still some airline stocks or some cruise stocks or things that we haven't quite pulled out of. Another thing, green energies and utilities are always great. Looking at recession-proof businesses that have a very simple business model and need minimal innovation, things like laundromats, trailer parks, RV parks. When people don't have cash to go buy new, what are they doing? They're repairing things. So home repair services, car repair services, those are all things that we could be doing now to set ourselves up. But like what you were saying with debt, that is the one thing. You cannot out invest bad debt. So the very first step is to get rid of that. And how do you do that? It's by either increasing what you have, money coming in, or it's decreasing the spending. And the number one litmus test for that is if anyone listening is like, oh, you know what? I don't even know if I'm overspending or not. If you can't take 20% of what you're making right now between your earned income, passive portfolio, if you can't take 20% of that first and invest it into real assets, you're overspending.
There you go. Well, we are out of time, but stay put, because we have a couple more questions in our extended segment coming right back up for Kyle. But thank you so much for a very, very interesting answer, because you just you just answered 6 questions in a row, and that was fantastic because you do what you do best for a reason. Guys, we are out of time. You definitely have to check out Kyle Will and head to candyvalentino.com. That was our business and buzz segment brought to you by Revere Securities. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Revere Securities. Revere is committed to building a relationship of trust in which they work closely with you to help you define your objectives, explore alternatives, and choose the financial and investment strategies that are most appropriate for you. Go to reveresecurities.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Welcoming back to our business and buzz segment brought to you by Revere Securities is our regular contributor, Kyle Will, non-executive chairman at Revere Securities, joined by the amazing Candy Valentino. Welcome back, my dear friends.
Thanks for having us.
Okay. All right. So, Kyle, I'm going to start with you. According to Candy's book, Wealth Habits, practicing gratitude, Kyle, creates wealth in surprising ways. What has your experience been? I know that you and your wife, Sue, are very, very much gracious and pay forward. Why is this so important, Kyle?
It's very important. I mean, when you make money in this world and to be able to give it back and to see what it does for people, I think it's very important. And I think that's another thing, going back to what Candy talked about with the tax code as well. Not only is it rewarding for you personally, but it also can be very rewarding for your portfolio and the way that you look at your income. Because right now, if you make X amount of money and it's regular income, forget about dividend income and passive income, you're going to pay taxes on that from 35 to 50% if you're in the top tax earning bracket. But if you are involved in a charity, and I sit on the board of probably 5 different philanthropic charities, and you get involved, you get your hands into it, you participate, you see where the money goes, and you make donations to that, that will lower your taxable income. That is another way to lower your taxable income. And not to take it off of this topic, which I think is important, but back to, I think, the thesis of what we're talking about today is how do you lower that taxable income, right? There's many ways. I would say the first and easiest way to do it is to max out your 401k. If you can max out your 401k, that directly comes off your taxable income. I think there's many different things. If you're self-employed, you can set up cash plus accounts. You can have a SEP IRA. Any of these facilities that the U.S. government gives you, you should take full advantage of them. Because if you can drop that taxable income, you might go down a bracket, number one, which can save you a lot of money. But number two, every penny that you put into these structures that are afforded to you by the U.S. government will drop your taxable income. I think that's a very important way to save money.
Yeah, so well said. And now this brings it back. I'll bounce it to you, Candy. Talk to me about some of these tax strategies, but more importantly, let's go back to financial freedom, especially important for women. I want you to touch a little bit on that. And how has practicing gratitude created wealth for you?
So I think that, there's just this universal law that if you're not appreciative of what you have, you're not going to get more of it. And if you don't know how to manage $5,000, I just don't think that $500,000 is going to come to you easily. So I think that it's really about knowing what you have and remembering every single day that you wake up. I did research in the book that more than half of the world lives on $10 a day. So if you're listening to this in your car, if you're watching it on your iPhone, however you're doing, you are doing better than 50%. And oftentimes we get so stuck in our own little problems and we forget that it's not really a real problem. There isn't necessarily a bear chasing us. It's a psychological thing that we had, that we didn't hit the first quarter goals, or, I didn't pay off as much debt as I had hoped this year. And what that does is it puts you in a perpetual motion of always having lack. So being grateful is not just about some woo-woo thing. It's a legitimate thing that I think if people are just focused on creating money and having money, they're really going to miss the point of building a rich life. And having a rich life is about contributing beyond yourself, not just about what we can acquire and take, but what we can give and who we can serve. So I think that that's why gratitude plays a really big part in wealth and in financial freedom. And I'll just speak to you. You'd mentioned about women. I think that from a female's perspective, we are not that far removed generationally from a time when our number one goal was to find a guy that was successful and that wouldn't beat you and that you wouldn't be married and have a bunch of kids, right? I mean, we're not that many generations removed. When I was in the late 90s wanting to start a business, it was absurd that some 19-year-old female would want to start a business. And, it was still a very much a man's world. My mom said to me, do you want to be a teacher or a nurse? And was appalled when I said I wanted to start a business. So I think it's really important for women to understand that it's not just because you don't understand finances doesn't mean that you shouldn't. It's taking the time to really learn about it, understand how to make money so that you're never put in a position where you have to depend on someone for your financial freedom or just to be able to live. And I think that's what's really important for women.
Amen. Welcome to 2023. Well said. Kyle, do you want to give some closing thoughts? We're almost out of time.
I think it's very important what Candy just said, because I had a very strong mother who was a president of the Social Workers Union. My sister is a surgeon, and 51% of this population is female, right? And I hate to say this, and I grew up in a family that did not have to go through this, but more than 50% of marriages also go through divorce. So I think the woman's place in the financial markets is very important. And I think they should really take it upon themselves, like people like Candy have done. And I applaud her for teaching others what she's learned, but you have to take it upon yourself to know your finances. And I always say it goes intake to expenditures, whether it's your body weight, whether it's your finances, it's the same thing. If you make all the money in the world and you spend it all, you're going to have nothing. If you run the marathon and you eat 5,000 calories a day, probably not going to lose weight. It's just all basic math. Right. So I think it's very important for each individual, whether man or woman. I'll probably give women a little bit of a nod here over men. I find men, just in my 20 plus years of investing, to be a little bit more of risk takers. And I think women are a little bit more prudent when it comes to their portfolio. So, maybe that's part of because of Candy and the women that came before her. But I do think it's important for people to educate themselves and continue to educate themselves.
Oh, very, very well said. Thank you, Kyle. And you are a big supporter of women. I know that you are our number one fan here, and we thank you so much for being one of our most important contributors, because these financial literacy segments that we do together are probably one of the more popular segments on the show. And we cover everything: film, fashion, pop culture, cryptocurrency, cannabis, from the Millennial Mom's perspective. Yet I have more people emailing me. I want to say 200 plus emails a week in my personal inbox about, we love the financial literacy segments that you do with Kyle because it breaks it down. And of course, we've been adding more women to our roster. So I just want to thank you, Candy, for coming on and making the segment extra sweet. And Kyle, thank you so much for always being as charming as you can.
Thanks, Candy.
Thanks so much for having me.
Guys, listen, you definitely have to check out Kyle Will and head to candyvalentino.com. That was our business and buzz segment brought to you by Revere Securities. And remember, the Federal Reserve is continuing to raise its benchmark interest rate. That means rates for mortgages, personal loans, credit cards, and savings accounts are all likely to continue to increase. And although there are signs that the pace of the increase in rates may be slowing, the Fed hasn't signaled it's going to stop with the rate hikes anytime soon. Remember, with rate hikes, saving becomes more appealing, and paying off your debt is even more important. Good luck in 2023. This is going to be your year. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Animoca Brands. As a worldwide industry leader in digital entertainment, blockchain, and digital property rights, Animoca Brands plays a key role in the future growth of the open metaverse. During unstable times like these in burgeoning industries similar to blockchain, it's important to realize that blockchain can and will survive and eventually flourish, and industry-leading companies like Animoca Brands will guide the transformation into the future. Animoca Brands will keep building a better and fairer Web3 ecosystem, create impact for better, and bring true digital property rights to all internet users through NFTs and the open metaverse. For more information and to become part of the excitement, go to animocabrands.com. That's animocabrands.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in our Trailblazers segment, brought to you by Animoca Brands, we're featuring Emily Ford, self-made millionaire, host of the It Factor show and creator of the It Factor. Now, Emily has shared the stage with some of the biggest names in business, including Tony Robbins, Eric WOR, Grant Cardone, and that's just to name a few. Now, she's on a mission to help as many people as she can around the world to cultivate their own it factor so they can finally find the light that's been missing. Now, to achieve their personal and business goals in 2023, it's going to take some guidance from the very famous Emily. And today we're chatting finding your it factor so you can increase productivity and come out financially successful this year. Welcome to 2023, people. 1 week in, and we are already feeling the full effects of the holiday stress and dealing with all that money spent. Well, now is the time to hunker down, focus, shed those pounds, and make that first million. That's right. You're going to make your first million this very year. While research on charisma is still in development, one of the most extensive studies yet has found that charisma is not so much a gift as a learnable skill you can master. As far as I'm concerned, it's that certain something, that nearly indefinable quality that certain people have about them that, well, just no one else has. Because people, to be drawn to each other, takes a certain type of what we call charisma. It's a combination of confidence and charm. Welcoming now to the show is the amazing Emily Ford. Welcome to the show, superstar.
Hello, I'm so honored to be here.
Well, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
Okay, so let's get to it. We all know someone with that it factor, right? It's someone whose personal charisma, exactly what I've been talking about, and appeal make them stand out. There's just something about them that's absolutely magnetic. They draw the attention and desire of people around them, seemingly without conscious effort. You are a business owner and you have led a team of over 150,000 entrepreneurs. You've shared the stage with some of the biggest business names in the world. Talk to me, Emily. How does one go about identifying their it factor?
You know, after transforming so many lives and working with all different personality types, from introverts, extroverts, people that love to wear red lipstick and look fabulous, to people who wear no makeup, something that always challenged me was that I would see greatness in so many people. I would look at them and be like, this is magnetic about you. This is amazing, but nobody would ever see it in themselves. And so I quickly started to go through exercises as I coached people to mentor them to extract their it factor. And so what that really looks like is identifying what makes you unique, right? I mean, if we look at all different types of people, we look at Gwen Stefani, she has an it factor. You look at the guys from Duck Dynasty, they have a it factor. You know, you look at Tim Tebow, he has an it factor. And so I like to look at what makes them unique, what are their qualities, okay? And then extract that, because a lot of people have really dumbed themselves down. They're not playing up what really makes them unique and stand apart in the marketplace. And if they leaned into it, they not only would stand out, they would have higher energy. Because if we look at the emotional guidance scale, if we look at the energetic scale of life, when we're living in the middle, or if we're living in fear or boredom or things like that, we have low energy. So this is not only great for branding purposes, for, you know, just putting ourselves out there, but it's great because you're actually living more to your calling on your life. You're living more authentic, if you will, which will give you more energy.
I love what you're saying, and that's so very true. People say to me all the time, Zen, you know, you're the host of a really fast-paced show, and you're always full of energy and charisma. What is it? How do you feed your energy every day? And I'm just high on life. That's the reality. I love talking to people. This is what I do. So it's more like the invisible thing a person has that makes them stand out in any crowd. And it's not because they talk loud, look
Right.
like a supermodel, or do the things to draw attention to themselves, but it's confidence with humility and genuine interest in others. I always say that. Now, let's move on. So, Emily, you say that everyone could have the famous it factor, no matter how naturally shy or introverted they are. No one is perfect, but at times a little self help does go a long way. And sometimes working on our confidence is the key to realizing our dreams. What do you recommend for those who need a confidence boost as a result of perhaps a poor environment and ecosystem and maybe even unsupportive friends and family?
Yeah, so good, Zen. I always say you're never going to outperform your own self-image. And you can have one day where you're flying high, everything is great. And then the next day you are just like low energy, and it's just welcome to life. And there's many factors that play into that. Something bad happening in your life. Do you roll out of bed and go first thing on Instagram? Because if you do that, you're probably going to feel bad straight away. You're probably going to feel bad about yourself, have low confidence if all you do is consume rather than create. And so the reason I have confidence in sales and building teams is because I've done it for 13 years. Okay. In my first year at the age of 23, sleeping on a mattress on the floor, being completely broke in Minnesota, I didn't have confidence, but I did little things every single day that would compound over time that would give me more confidence. And I always say the future favors the bold. The person that's hungry enough to create that change, they will do it if they look at the small activities that maybe, seem so elementary, but they will compound over time. That is going to make you a masterful realtor, speaker, actor, what have you.
And consistency is key. Can't even emphasize on how important it is. But what you're saying is, to put things concretely, the it factor essentially is a combination of confidence, charm, charisma, and really good self esteem, meaning it can take your life to the next level and open plenty of doors if you have the right attitude and the right consistency in seeing something through. Now, talk to me, Emily. How did you find your it factor, and what effects did it have on your finances?
Well, I grew up going to school like most, and I was very challenged in school, but I was always great at being friends with my teacher and making friends with everybody. So if you look at it, I'm really good at making friends. I'm really good at, I could talk to the wall, I could talk to a stranger, I could talk to an audience of 10,000. And I quickly realized that after school that I had the gift of connection, the gift of leadership on my life. And so I looked at a business where I could lean into that, where I could lead teams, where I could, be a spokesperson for products and services that I love. And so it's really helped me a lot because I operate in my zone of genius every single day. All day today, I'm on calls, I'm leading teams, I'm training sales teams, I'm casting a vision, I'm giving people hope. That's the gift that I have on my life. And I've just leaned into it and gotten better over time. The more repetition, the more I do it, the better I get at it. But that's, really when my whole life changed, is when I realized, gosh, I am really good at leading in front of the room. Where I'm not good is like putting together the software, figuring out the distribution, the products, all the back end stuff, the organization stuff. Like my executive assistant will laugh at me because she knows that I'm horrendous at that, right? And so it's leaning into your strengths and amplifying them. And then, as Malcolm Gladwell says, just get the 10,000 hours in and just go, 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 go until you become the best at it in your field.
I love it. And the truth of the matter is that as busy as you are, as busy as I am, guess what? I reached out to you over my booking department because I just saw your page and I was like, sure, there's a process to this, but I'm just going to reach out to her and see if she's available. And you were. And that's just me, again, being my proactive self. I don't think I'm above or beyond anybody else. I work in a very, very male dominated industry. There's less than probably 14,000 live radio hosts. And of the 14,000, there's less than 18% that are women. And I'm one of them. So it's a hard industry, but I'm enthusiastic. So let's talk about that. Be enthusiastic at all times. It's what you just said you are. It's who I am. It makes you instantly magnetic to a whole range of people. So coming across as positive and upbeat are qualities that help you stand out from the crowd. Plus, good energy attracts other forms of healthy energy. Also, I always like to say, listen to other people. Having excellent listening skills can take a personality to the next level. Now, possessing a good listening skill is as rare as gold dust, my grandmother used to say. But if you do have the ability to listen, it really gives you the edge in every aspect of life, including professionally and romantically. Talk to me about the importance of listening, Emily.
I love it. I always say, like, really stepping into your it factor, if you really boil it down, it's absolute presence. I mean, think about it. When someone is communicating with you, when someone's trying to sell you something or just make a new friend, when they are locked in and making eye contact with you, when they're fully present, not looking at who's walking by, right? When you're on that date and you're like locked in, there is a different frequency, a different energy that happens. And I always say people are either attracted to you or they're retracted from you. And so when you have that absolute presence in all that you do every single day, every single meeting, and you're like all in, there's a level of certainty that you cannot manufacture. There's a level of connection that you cannot make up. And it is becoming more and more difficult for people to actually be present in what they're doing. And so I always like to talk to the people that are like me, that are hungry and they want to create change in their life. It's like, then master focus and master presence, because you are going to be lapping so many people in your life.
Oh yes, without a doubt. Now let's chat confident versus cocky. Okay, this is another one. When we're trying to build our self-esteem, many of us often fall into the trap of crossing into the cocky territory rather than simply presenting ourselves as confident. What advice do you have here?
Yeah, I think cocky, you could be arrogant, you could be a know-it-all, and there's such a difference from coming from a place of love. So I think of, where is it coming from? And even me, I can stand in front of a room and do flip charts, compensation plans, show you how to build teams. But if it's coming from a place of love, there's a different delivery versus coming from a place of, I know it all, listen to me. And so I like to reverse it and make it about the person that I'm speaking to. And in regard to how is this going to impact their life versus, look at me, I'm a know-it-all, I know everything. And there's times, like, listen, we're human, we're powerful women. There's times, especially when, I sometimes speak and it's all men and I'm the only female speaker. Like, there is that natural, I need to prove myself, kind of vibe. But I think if you come from a place, again, of love, it just translates differently.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the line between the two is so extremely thin, but truly, what I always say, acquired confidence never comes across as arrogant or conceited. And so I think there's like a big difference there. And it's very important to be able to differentiate the two. But what you just said, you nailed it right on. And of course, having presence means that people instantly notice you and they just want to listen to you. And you definitely command presence, Emily.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for coming on tonight. It was such a pleasure chatting with you. You have such a unique perspective on things. I would love to invite you on to chat more about life, love, success, and really finding that it factor. Because I know in talking to you today, I kind of scaled myself down just a little bit, and I could almost feel, where my strengths are by speaking and talking and listening to somebody like yourself. So thank you.
Thank you. It was an honor to be with you.
That was our Trailblazers segment by Animoca Brands. Do check out Emily on the gram at It's Emily, or definitely head to itsemily.com, and always head to animocabrands.com to check out all the fun and action. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Animoca Brands. As a worldwide industry leader in digital entertainment, blockchain, and digital property rights, Animoca Brands plays a key role in the future growth of the open metaverse. During unstable times like these in burgeoning industries similar to blockchain, it's important to realize that blockchain can and will survive and eventually flourish, and industry-leading companies like Animoca Brands will guide the transformation into the future. Animoca Brands will keep building a better and fairer Web3 ecosystem, create impact for better, and bring true digital property rights to all internet users through NFTs and the open metaverse. For more information and to become part of the excitement, go to animocabrands.com. That's animocabrands.com.
Welcome back, my beautiful friends. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. I'm your host, Zen Sams. Up next in just a few minutes in our influencer segment brought to you by Navi, we're featuring Kelsey Guy, an ever-evolving creative who is truly paving her own path of compassionate movement and joy. She's a professional trained dancer, a roller skater, and a movement coach. She's a woman on fire, but she's not burning bridges. She aims to pass the torch to ignite the inner flame that lies within everyone she meets. Roller skating, or rather skating in general, evokes great spirit. Roller rink memories with our friends and family, the energy, and even the trip and falls. Everything screams fun. With the rise of the alternative skating scene, it's becoming increasingly common to see roller skate enthusiasts on the streets and parks, which skateboarders and inline skaters previously dominated. Although roller skating goes back centuries in its rudimentary form, it first took hold of the American consciousness in the 1970s and 1980s when it became part of pop culture and began to be seen as a trendy activity. Here to chat roller skates 2023 and making your dreams come true is the amazing Kelsey Guy. Welcome to the show, my beautiful friend.
Hi, thank you for having me. What a great introduction.
Thank you for coming on. So talk to me about how you, my darling, are combining roller skating, art, and social media, and how you found this proprietary way to reach your audience via your voice and talent.
Oh my gosh. Well, I will say it was kind of by accident. I just kind of fell into it with the timing of like the universe, and I've always been a mover. I've always loved to dance. And I started skating. It'll be 4 years next May. And I just fell in love with it. And ever since, I really think that was, aside from dance, one of the moments where it pulled me to just like trust what I love and to follow that. So I'm literally just kind of walking in the dark, but it's really fun. It's like it's like a blind disco. It's like you don't know where you're going, but it's a good time. And I'm really grateful that I can share it with people. And just, I started skating when I was like 27, 28. Like, you're never too old to try something, even if it feels a little bit scary and you don't know how things are going to go. Like, if you enjoy it, whatever it is, doesn't have to be skating. I really love to inspire people to listen to that inner knowing, and just like, it's all going to come together.
I love your bio. You in your LinkedIn, your bio on Instagram, capturing ordinary life in extraordinary ways from my head, shoulders, knees, and soul. And then you hashtag yourself as groovy dork on wheels. I love that. Now, how has social media helped your process?
It's helped me in a way to like be inspired by people, but also trust like what makes me feel good. And also, it's such a dynamic space and it's so easy to compare yourself. So I do love showing like my goofy side, my like uncurated, unpolished side, just so that I hope that when people watch what I share, they're like more inspired to like be their true selves instead of feel like we have to emulate each other so specifically. So I do hope that what I do share with my followers and just social media in general helps people feel more free in their creativity and in their self-expression.
I love it. You've amassed a huge following. How many followers do you have at this point?
I have almost 100,000 on Instagram. That's a big number.
It's a big number.
Yeah, and a little bit over 200,000 on Instagram. So it's a lot of people that I have the opportunity to reach, but it also feels still very humbling too, because the world's so vast. But I am grateful because when I mean, just like every day, like you might have like 500 people that you really know and you share your life with. So to like quadruple that is pretty.
It's fascinating. The fact that you've been able to bank on this, both, personally and even artistically, is phenomenal. Now, roller skating is great exercise. So I always tell people, if you're hoping to lose weight, roller skating will surely come in handy. You can burn, around 500 calories in just an hour of skating. And unlike the gym, you won't even realize how fast the time passes. Rollerblading and roller skating are excellent cardio exercises, improving your blood circulation and strengthening your heart and endurance levels. It's a win-win. How has roller skating changed your life? And how you mentioned you were 27 when you first started, but was it something that you picked up because you just wanted to try it, or was it something you were always interested in pursuing?
Well, I definitely never thought that I would be on roller skates because I thought they were pretty dorky growing up. I was like, I'm not wearing those. Like when you go to birthday parties and stuff. So it was definitely a spontaneous thing. Um, I started having friends like every few years, and like I had a birthday party there, but definitely didn't have my own skates. Like it was very sporadic. And just being in Los Angeles and doing the professional dancer route, it's a very competitive like avenue. So I was like, I need some kind of movement therapy that's just mine, that doesn't feel like an audition. And I actually got skates for my birthday and I let them sit in my car for 4 months before I put them on. So I
Well,
was in no rush. So when I did finally put them on, I did find myself being pulled to like skate every day, find any kind of smooth surface. It really just came naturally. And it was one of the first times in like a long time where I felt really beautiful in my skin, and it like didn't matter what I looked like, which is so empowering. And I was so bad, like you literally feel like you're like a baby duck on stilts. And so to still have so much joy and to still feel so inspired in this like really shaky new experience, it felt like,
well, I
oh
could
my
definitely feel your passion. And definitely, I mean, roller skating, like you said, it isn't just good for the body, but the mind too. I mean, let loose and release your pent up stress and emotions while feeling a sense of freedom. You really can't duplicate that anywhere else. You'll feel untethered and free from your daily struggles for that little brief moment when you skate. And it helps you develop character. I mean, think of it. Roller skating helps you build self confidence and pushes you out of your comfort zone. So I tell people, listen, if you're scared of falling and making a fool out of yourself, skating will help you get over those hangups very quickly.
yeah.
Let's chat gender neutrality. Okay. So, a concept that attempts to remove the notion of being either male or female from a person or entity. It
Yeah.
also encourages people, regardless of their sexual orientation, to feel equally accepted as part of society. Talk to me about the importance of gender neutrality.
Oh, I think, or I believe that it just really speaks to like all these boxes that we grow up thinking we have to be in. And when you find the courage to just like truly be yourself, it's really empowering. And I know within me, like I'm naturally like this really like feminine presenting person, but I do have those like really like masculine qualities that I never like before this like recent phase of my life where I did find skating where I felt comfortable expressing them. So I do think it's really incredible, especially in how this relates to like skating. So many different kinds of people cross paths, and you lead and you follow. So I think it just is an incredible mental space to step into to truly fulfill who you are and not think that like, oh, because I see myself as a woman, I can only do this, or oh, because I see myself as a man, I can only do this, or even being like non-binary, So I really think it just opens us all up to having more freedom and realizing however you see yourself, you can live however you choose. You don't have to confine yourself to what people expect your gender to express.
So true. Very true. Very true. And gender neutrality is so important because it helps eliminate gender stereotypes that harm everyone. Gender stereotypes are really those expectations based on the assumption that there are only two genders, male and female, in the world. And it leads to discrimination against not only men and women, but also individuals who don't conform to these identities. So, to your point, this is extremely important that we continue the education and we continue to talk about it, and we're open with one another as a society, and we're accepting of one another, and we're leading with love and grace, not hatred in our heart. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah, thank you for asking. I really appreciate that.
And talk to me. We have about 1 minute left.
Okay.
What if you could give any piece of advice to your younger self? What would it be?
Oh, this question. It always knocks me off my chair. I would tell her to trust her beauty and her spirit and her light, and to know that you will give to people, and that's a beautiful thing, but make sure to give to yourself. You know.
So true. It all begins with loving ourselves and accepting ourselves and not comparing ourselves, and also being able to see the beauty in others and in everything around us, seeing the glass half full. I always tell my 7-year-old daughter, I say, Alexa, look, the world is a harsh place, but you have to learn how to see beauty in others. You have to learn how to find somebody's strength before you start criticizing them. And at the end of the day, we're all brothers and sisters, and that's how it should be. So thank you for coming on and being so inspirational today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm just a mirror. I'm reflecting you.
Thank you so much, guys. You definitely have to check out Kelsey Guy. Check her out on the gram at the good guy 91 on IG, and it's the_good_guy 91, and she's also on TikTok. That was our influencer segment brought to you by Navi. You're listening to A Moment of Zen right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, iHeart Radio. We'll be right back after this.
A Moment of Zen is brought to you by Animoca Brands. As a worldwide industry leader in digital entertainment, blockchain, and digital property rights, Animoca Brands plays a key role in the future growth of the open metaverse. During unstable times like these in burgeoning industries similar to blockchain, it's important to realize that blockchain can and will survive and eventually flourish, and industry-leading companies like Animoca Brands will guide the transformation into the future. Animoca Brands will keep building a better and fairer Web3 ecosystem, create impact for better, and bring true digital property rights to all internet users through NFTs and the open metaverse. For more information and to become part of the excitement, go to animocabrands.com. That's animocabrands.com.
We are at the end of our date, my dear friends. Remember to join me right here on 710 WOR, the voice of New York, every Saturday night from 9 to 10 p.m., or you could head to 710WOR.iHeart.com/A Moment of Zen. And also remember that we're now live on Traverse TV Sundays at 1 p.m. Eastern and live on YouTube Sundays at 2 p.m. Eastern. All episodes of A Moment of Zen are also available on Kathy Ireland's Your Home TV streaming platform 24/7. You could head to our channel over there at mox.yourhometv.com. Thank you for listening to A Moment of Zen. It's been an absolute pleasure being your host. Thank you to all of our sponsors that continue to make this show possible. And remember, happiness is the only thing that multiplies when you share it.